When the sociopath understands that the con is up, that they have been outed, that's when the mask will drop. But until that happens, the sociopath will often appear to be an angel with a sweet, innocent expression. It's impossible to convince outsiders that this person is a sociopath when they've never dropped their mask in front of the observers. What happens is when the target starts telling people, hey, that person is a sociopath, the first thing that the observer is going to think is, no, they're not. They are so likable. They're so entertaining. They're so fun to be around. They're so smart. They're so talented. They're so successful. So you can see, because the sociopath is a con artist, so they've convinced everyone that they have all of these positive traits. So when the target then appears and says, that is all an act, often no one believes the target. And in fact, a lot of times they will then think that the target is the weirdo, because the target is not likable. The target is not funny. The target does not appear to be intelligent. The target appears to be the crazy person who's making all of these accusations. It is a very difficult situation for a target when they're dealing with a seasoned sociopath. What does a target do when the sociopath is likable, intelligent, funny, the life of the party, full of laughs, easygoing, relaxed? What does a target do when they have been beaten down to a zero, and when they are in social situations, they are quiet, reserved? What do we do when the sociopath is able to convince everyone watching that they are the target? Because that's what they do. They're able to manipulate the crowd because they are charming, because they have a twinkle in their eye that everyone believes, because they have mastered the innocent look. They are professional con artists. That's why they're able to convince people that they are something that they are not. I'm going to say that again. Sociopaths are able to convince people that they are something that they are not. They're able to convince people because a sociopath is able to appear to be extremely relaxed. Their body language, their facial expression will give off the impression that they are honest and easygoing, and other people pick up on these facial expressions and the body language that the sociopath is using, and it makes people feel relaxed. In contrast, a target might be stiff and uptight and appear to be as though they are hiding something, when in fact they're not. It's just that they have been beaten down to a zero. They have been emotionally abused, verbally abused, sometimes physically abused. So when they are out in the world, they are not jovial and relaxed and easygoing. They're not the life of the party. They are not extroverted. And there seems to be this misconception in the world that extroverted people are honest and introverted people are dishonest, and that quiet people have something to hide and people who are talkative are open and honest and trustworthy. This is a huge misconception that people have. I'm not sure how to correct this misconception, this meme, because it's really taken hold, I feel. In a way now, if you say, I'm extroverted, that is a positive trait. And if you say, I'm introverted, there's this immediate thought that, oh, you are less than the extroverted person. It's better to be extroverted. You know, now when I meet people who are a little too friendly, a little too extroverted, that's a red flag for me, because I am immediately thinking of the sociopaths that I've come in contact with, and they are the extroverts. I think that this is a serious topic that targets of abuse and former targets of abuse have to deal with. It's a huge barrier to recovery. You can only imagine how awful it is for a target to be in a social situation with the sociopath, to be in a situation where the sociopath is relaxed and happy and easygoing and having a great time, and the target is sitting quietly alone in pain. Maybe, and often the case, the sociopath is emotionally, verbally, or sometimes physically abusive to the target before going to social gatherings. This happens in families, in work situations, in private love relationships. And so what happens is when you have this combo of a sociopath and a target together in a social gathering, the sociopath will appear to be the friendly, outgoing, honest, functional part of the duo. And the target, in contrast, is the one who appears to be dysfunctional, who appears to be awkward and weird and maybe not trustworthy. The target is then further victimized through social isolation. Because who wants to hang out with someone who is a Debbie Downer? Who wants to hang out with someone who is depressed, who's down? In contrast, most people want to hang out with someone who is bubbly and being extroverted and friendly and telling jokes, and someone who's the life of the party. These situations are very sad, because what happens is society rejects the abused. And we're all guilty of it. I'm sure we've all been in situations where we're talking to someone who appears to be down or who is not talkative, and we probably just walk away. We're just like, I don't have time for that. Or, why are you being so weird, girl? You know, and it's not because we're bad people. It's human nature. In contrast, when we meet someone who's smiling and friendly and talkative, it's enjoyable. So we will naturally gravitate towards those people. But when we are out in public, let's step back. And I think that we should pay attention to situations when you have a couple, either in a relationship, or you could have a parent and a child together. And when it's a situation where one of the duo is extremely jovial and outgoing while the other person that's with them is not, that's a red flag. Because if you think about it, if you go to a party with a friend and that friend is in the corner, depressed, not talking to anyone, then chances are you're not going to be all pumped up and in a great mood, having great conversations with other people. If you had empathy, you would be concerned about your friend or your child or your family member or your coworker. You would probably, your concern would be with them. I know if I went to a party with a friend and my friend was sitting alone in the corner, not talking to anyone, it would make me feel uncomfortable. I would feel unhappy, and I would probably go over to the friend and say, hey, you look really down. Is there anything I can do to help cheer you up? You know, that would be the focus. Beware of situations like that when you have two people coming to a work meeting together or a family gathering together, and usually when you're with someone, your moods match up. you're both jovial, or you're both down because one of you is down. The moods will match. So in my opinion, this is something to watch for, to look out for. It's a red flag, in my opinion, when you have two people and what's going on with them, the energy that they're giving off is the polar opposite. Something's not right there. And it's a huge red flag that the person who is being jovial and happy and running around, maybe pumped up on narcissistic supply, you have to wonder, well, why are you in such a good mood and your friend is sitting over in the corner alone, not talking to anyone? You have to kind of scratch your head and say, what's going on there? Kind of weird situation, isn't it? So pay attention to that. I don't know about you, but the sociopaths that I have unfortunately known have been extremely charming, extremely likable. They even had a little twinkle in their eye. That's the only way I can think to describe it. Their eyes were inviting. They were often very relaxed, which made me feel relaxed when I would hang out with them. And sociopaths, from my experience, will be extremely relaxed when they believe that their con is going full force, when they believe their con is being believed. In those situations, they are very relaxed and pretty jovial. The only time the sociopath stiffens up or becomes angry and really starts to show the underbelly of their personality is when their con is not being believed, when they're called out on their manipulative behaviors. A lot of people, when they think of narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths, and they think of these people, in our minds, we think of scary creepers. And they are those things. But when we first meet them, or even if they're family members that we've known for a long time, they are able to keep this facade up. And with a sociopath, it's not even a facade, because like I said just a second ago, when their con is being believed, they are relaxed. They're in a decent mood. They're in a good mood. And they can be fun to hang out with. And especially when a sociopath is trying to con you, often they are in a good mood. They're funny. They're talkative. They are entertaining often. And all of these characteristics make it even harder for targets to convince outsiders, to convince observers that the person that has been harming them is a sociopath. A lot of people will scratch their head and think, that person's not a sociopath. They're so nice. They're so extroverted. They're so social. They're so likable. They're so funny. They're so smart. Often targets who've been beaten down to a zero are not funny. They're not likable because they're beaten down. They're depressed. They are full of anxiety. They often become socially inept. They become awkward in social situations. So when outsiders meet a sociopath who is charming and funny and likable and relaxed, like they don't have anything to hide, and then they meet the target who is tense, who's uncomfortable, who is behaving in a very strange way, well, who do you think everyone believes? Well, they believe the sociopath. They believe the person who's relaxed because they're thinking, well, that sociopath is so relaxed and honest, and they don't have anything to hide. And look at the target. They're so uptight. They're so awkward. They look like they're lying. It's really important that we debunk this myth that sociopaths and narcissists are these creepy people who are like witches and demons, because that's not how they present. They present as angels. They present as confident, honest, upstanding citizens. And that is a huge barrier, a huge burden for targets of sociopathic and narcissistic abuse to overcome. And a lot of times we are unable to overcome this perception of who the predator is and who the target is, because it often is reversed. It's very awkward. I'm not sure how to go about convincing someone that person A is a sociopath when everyone in the crowd has only seen these positive traits. They've never seen the sociopath behave badly. They've only seen them in situations where they are likable and charming and funny and the life of the party, or highly intelligent or very logical. They don't see the behind the scenes act that's going on, the subtle manipulation, the abuse that happens. Not all sociopaths are great actors. Not all narcissists are great actors. Some of them are not intelligent and their acting skills are terrible and they out themselves. And it's a lot easier to convince outsiders that this person in fact is an abuser, because it might be an overt narcissist who does lose their temper in public.